it's a very unfortunate situation for Georgiev. And I wrote this the other night. If you think about it, if you think about him as a goaltender, everybody knows he has the mindset of a starter. He thinks he's a starter. In the beginning of his career, his numbers were starters' numbers. But he came in at the end of Henrik Lundqvist's career and the start of Igor Shesterkin's, and that is just crappy timing for Alexandar Georgiev. He could be a starter or a goalie that forges a tandem with another goalie on plenty of other teams in the NHL. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking Edmonton could use a guy like Georgiev. So I definitely expect Georgiev not to be in a Rangers jersey either by the trade deadline or in the offseason. It's become overly apparent that he needs a fresh start elsewhere. And he was as dejected as I've seen him in a Rangers jersey the other night after the Minnesota game. And I think Gallant said it best when he was talking about it. He obviously said he feels for him. He can't imagine how tough it is on him. Earlier in the day, he said he deserved better as far as how they've dealt with his playing time. And I mean, the last two starts that he had, it was a month in between. And from what we've seen is he needs consistent playing time in order to be on the top of his game. And that's not a far out, concept at all. That's valid. It makes sense. So I feel for him, but what I will say, and the other writers and I were talking about this after the game, with the dynamic with the team and no locker room access and them cherry picking the players that we get to talk to night in and night out. Georgiev easily could have said that he didn't want to talk to us after that game, easily, and he wouldn't have had to. But he came out and he was accountable and he said all the right things. I asked him to evaluate his game. He was like, I don't want to. It's been tough. It's been frustrating. And, but he talked about it and he was accountable. And that's a trait that I think is great to advertise to other teams, because I think that's going to make it more likely for another team to want to take a chance on him.
Molly, is it okay for me to disagree with you?
Go ahead, please. You're probably not the only person.
Yeah, listen, the one thing I can agree on with you is that he's a good kid, likable kid. He's doing his best. I don't know if I buy into, I mean, to a certain extent, I buy into playing time. I just watch practices, and practices are almost like games. I mean, they play at a fast pace. Shots are coming from everywhere. So you can own your skill and get yourself ready to play in a game in these practices. And often you can stay after practice, take shots, do this, do that. And so I think that even though he hasn't played, it would make a difference. He's in tough practices. So I think he could get himself ready. I just don't think and I don't know if Steve Valiquette would agree with me on this. I don't think he has the skill set to be a starter. Now, he's had some good games. We've seen it like 2 years ago. I don't think it's either the skill set or his mindset. It might be a combination of two, but I think most teams have seen his last 2 years. I don't think anyone's going to take a chance on him. I don't believe anyone is going to trade for him. I don't even think if he's not a good backup for the Rangers, I don't think he's going to be a good backup anywhere else. Because if you can't play as a backup and just step in, because most teams are going to have their starters. I don't think he's a starter. So that's kind of my take on it. I like the kid. I just don't see his skill set